tell you something, Gene Oaken, you out here talking about a clique. The only clique you need to know about is the Harlem Heat and Sister Sherry. See, because what you dealing with here is the brotherhood. It's non-stop from this point on in WCW. We take what we want, and after we take Lex Luger and the Giant, we want the gold sucker. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga.
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
And they spray him, and then they handcuff him right after that. And I'm thinking, golly, he doesn't even have time to, like, wipe his eyes. Can you imagine?
And this is why the Four Horsemen was a joke to me, too. Because all they do is fucking lose.
Now, I say he hesitated for some reason, which didn't make sense to me. Because if you count him out, the match is over. Like, it stopped at this point. But, yeah, he doesn't want to count him out.
Was concerned for Ric's safety.
I know.
And well-being.
But if you count him out, then it's over. That would stop it.
Yeah, but it's a little silly to pin a guy when he's just been humiliated. It's a four corners match. Everyone comes out as a team, and they assure us it's not a tag match at all. And so 2 men enter, 2 men get on the corner, preparing for a tag. Let's get in some Wrestling Rewind.
Wrestling Rewind, and this one was, well, we'll save it for the show. I don't want to start off by telling you if it was good or bad. We're going to save it for the show.
Spring Stampede, 1997. And it's a really fast video package to start off. And DDP's facing Savage. Paige called Elizabeth a bimbo, and that really pissed Savage off. And then the Steiners are looking for revenge against the Outsiders for the tag titles. Medusa wants some of Akira Hokuto for the WCW Women's Heavyweight Championship. Prince Iaukea faces William Regal for the TV title. Dean Malenko faces Chris Benoit for the second time for the U.S. Heavyweight title. And then Luger, Giant, Stevie Ray, and Booker T are facing each other in a four corners match. It's totally not a tag team match for the number 1 contendership.
Why does they have to muddy it that way?
Wish I could tell you.
It's like they forgot.
So the tag is the Rumbling is WCW Spring Stampede. Yeehaw! And we're at Tupelo, Mississippi. It's pretty impressive pyro to kick off the pay-per-view. And I think that was the best pyro that we'll see. And Dusty, Shivani, and Heenan are on commentary. And they say that there are 3 main events tonight. The Four Corners match for the rights to face Hogan. DDP versus Savage, which is a no disqualification match. And the tag title match, which we don't know quite what's happening yet. And Shivani says that the last time anyone's heard from Kevin Nash, he said that he would take the entire WCW on by himself. And Scott Hall's not in the building. In fact, he's been MIA for weeks. According to what I found out, he was in rehab.
Oh, well, I guess good for him for getting it taken care of.
Despite all of this, the WCW Championship Committee has informed Kevin Nash that he needs to defend his titles against the Steiner brothers tonight, and that there are no substitutions. However, Nash has some demands. And he's yet to reveal them. So WCW officials have tried to give Nash a platform, but again, Nash isn't talking to anyone. And in fact, he slammed the door in Tony the Tiger's face. So Dusty says that we'll find out what Nash's demands are as the night moves along, but one good man can't beat 2 good men. And this is the crack in the NWO armor.
I think we're planting seeds for a split here. And where was Hogan, too? Because he wasn't on the show either. Probably filming something. He doing?
Yeah. So Heenan says that it's put up or shut up time for the NWO. He reiterates that one man can't beat 2 Steiners. So the Ultimo Dragon versus Rey Mysterio Jr. is the first match of the night. And both have a win over each other. Mysterio's friendship or whatever with Jennifer Aniston is mentioned. I don't know if they fucked or what, but whatever. I thought the Ultimate Dragon's ring gear was awesome. The blue and the gold and the red was a nice combination. And Dragon did a really cool series of moves where he hit a Argentina neckbreaker, a power bomb, and then he turned the power bomb into a stun gun into the ropes. And Dragon started acting stupid. He would hit big moves and then not attempt to pin. I think he had a tombstone and pulled Mysterio up at 2. Yep. So there's lots of speculation about Sonny Ono not being out there. It's like, well, he's with Hokuto. She needs Sonny Ono. And then during the match, we learned that Nash is ready to make his demands. And it cuts to Tony the Tiger, who knocks on the door of the NWO. And then Master 6 pops his head out. And he says something you can't really hear. Something about Nash talking to a WCW shill. And Tony, he gets his face slammed in the door. So the Ultimo Dragon did a giant swing, and that made him dizzy. Thought that was dumb. And then he nailed his Frankensteiner from the top rope this time. And then Mysterio wins with a Frankensteiner of his own.
Yeah, it was kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I thought it was good. I don't know. I don't want to say boring, but it was just there. It was a match.
Yeah, I kind of got taken out of it when they did the NWO stuff. Because I was more like, oh, what's going to happen there? And then I was thinking about, like, where is Scott Hall? I mean, I didn't look it up or anything, but yeah.
Right.
I guess that story took me out of this match. And the whole Sonny Ono thing, they made such a big deal of it. I was just trying to go off of memory. It's like, is this the split? Because I know they do split at some point. So, yeah. They planted too many seeds that led me away from the match.
Well, they cut the Tony the Tiger again after the Ultimo Mysterio match, and he looks like a putz. And Tony the Tiger knocks on the NWO door again, looking for Nash. Master 6 cock blocks him again, and Scott Steiner comes out looking for Nash. Nash finally pokes his head out, saying something about an ambush. Steiner tells Nash that he sucks. Like, Nash, you suck! Nash says he has no problem taking both Steiners on. He just wants Nick Patrick. And Tony the Tiger is confused. Nash tells security to hold Steiner back. Then he takes the opportunity to lean over everybody and spit on Scott Steiner. Well, this set Scott Steiner into a rage. So Doug Dillinger, the head of security, they all wrestle Scott Steiner to the ground and mace him. Now, there's 2 macings. Scott Steiner is jaw-jacking, and I think he, quote-unquote, hit one of the undercover cops. But this Doug Dillinger guy, he must have had the mace ready to fire because he shot immediately.
And yeah, and that one took him to the ground.
Yeah.
It was so ridiculous. They have him handcuffed. No, he wasn't in the handcuffs yet, but the second spraying, he was hands behind his back, and they spray him, and then they handcuff him right after that. And I'm thinking, golly, he doesn't even have time to like wipe his eyes. Can you imagine getting
That would suck.
maced, and you have handcuffs, so now you can't even like take the pain away? You just have to sit there and take it. God, that would be terrible.
So Nash and Master 6 flee into the dressing room. Scott says, my eye, Ricky, help me. And old man did not hesitate with mace at all.
He did not.
So Medusa versus Akira Hokuto for the WCW Women's Heavyweight title. And Hokuto comes out without the cyberpunk headgear, which I was a little disappointed in. But she was rocking the zombie geisha or whatever the fuck she was supposed to be. And the match starts. Commentary is too focused on Steiner getting arrested than the match. Hokuto starts off just like their last match by tossing Medusa by the hair. Only kind of seemed like she put a little bit of extra mustard into it. And then Medusa lands a series of punches, quote unquote, onto Hokuto. And Hokuto starts choking Medusa. She sits on the turnbuckle, and then she does a sleeper hold. And then she just picks up Medusa with both hands, and then ends up holding her with one arm before tossing her ass back on the mat. Medusa bridges beautifully out of the pin, and then starts doing her head slams to Hokuto. Hokuto just bites Medusa's calf to get the advantage back. And then Akira drags Medusa to the ropes so she can work the leg. Sonny Ono starts slapping the shit out of Medusa. Like, he didn't hold back on her at all. And then Ono chokes Medusa before she kicks him. Medusa hits a couple of top rope drop kicks and a German suplex. and that was surprisingly for 2. Ono, who was on the ring apron, gets ninja kicked by Medusa. And then Hokuto tries to attack Medusa from behind and fails. Medusa goes for a powerbomb on Hokuto while Ono distracts the referee on the apron. Then out of nowhere, Luna Vachon hits the ring and kicks Medusa in the knee. Hokuto is able to roll up Medusa after this for the 1-2-3. And then Medusa chases off Hokuto after the match. It's probably the weakest of the 3 Hokuto matches that we've seen.
Not probably, definitely. And I wrote that we've seen Hokuto, so we know she's not the problem. ... I think this is the debut of Medusa's knocker, so there's that consolation prize.
I felt like she hit him
Did she?
last pay-per-view.
Maybe she did. Maybe I just don't
want
remember.
to say Lord Steven Regal versus Prince Iaukea. And Iaukea is on a win streak. He beat Mysterio twice. He beat Regal. And he beat Randy Savage. And Shivani confirms that Steiner has been arrested. Now it's Nash versus Rick Steiner for the tag titles. And Nick Patrick is indeed the referee, per Nash's demands.
Yeah, so a one-on-one match for the tag titles.
So a title match is going on, and the commentary team is talking about the fucking Double Team movie with Dennis Rodman and Van Damme. Spoiler alert, it fucking sucks. Like, if it was Scotty Riggs versus Buff Bagwell, I can see like the main narrative overshadowing the match. But this is the second title match, and it's been basically a screensaver while they talk about this shitty movie.
Well, they had to get it in.
I like how Regal fucked with the crowd before the match. He really got them to hate him. And it was a pretty hard-hitting affair, as all Regal matches seem to be. And Regal just beats the piss out of Iaukea. Iaukea does a crossbody. Regal casually steps out of the way, kind of like Samoa Joe. And he does his little head bob. He's very proud of himself. And Iaukea comes back out of nowhere on Regal with a flurry of moves. Regal gets whipped into the corner. Regal tries to counter into a schoolboy, but Iaukea gives Regal into a roll-up, 1-2-3. Regal fucks Iaukea up after the match, or locks him in the Regal stretch. Regal yell at the ref. He says, "You don't want to mess with me today, sonny." And then Regal goes back to a Regal stretch on Iaukea after nailing him in the back of the head with the title belt. And then they cut away. Regal's still stomping and, yeah, kicking the champion. So,
yeah, this was prime Regal. He was great. Messing with the crowd. I was a little concerned for him because he was like waving the fan, like, come on. Like, you better be careful with that. They'll do it. Especially fans nowadays. But,
well, he ain't Sturgis.
Well, yeah, there is that. Oh, can you imagine him in Sturgis? He was already in Mississippi, so I figured that, the quality of town for his regalness is already low.
Mean Gene makes his first appearance. Of course, he has to bring up the hotline. Gene says there's a new clique in town, and we can only learn about it by calling the WCW hotline. And there's also a car accident there. Everyone's fine, but we need to talk on the hotline, too, to learn about that.
That was a good one.
Gene brings out Ric Flair. Flair's return to the ring is around the corner. He says 2 things are happening tonight. The Horsemen that are functioning, which is Mongo, Jarrett, and Benoit, they're going to walk down the aisle Horseman style. And the Nature Boy is also medically cleared starting May. So that's a month from now at this point. Flair talks about how awesome Mongo and Benoit and Jarrett are. Then he says Arn Anderson fixes his crippled hand soon. And everybody knows Arn Anderson has not wrestled his last match. Gene then wants to know about Flair's relationship with Roddy Piper. Flair says Piper is just like Arn. And speaking of Piper, Kevin Green got permission from the Panthers to wrestle for WCW. Then Flair invites Green to wrestle with him and the rest of the Horsemen, hoping that he forgot the last time that he wrestled with Kevin Green. He got hit with a halberd at the showcase. That's when Mongo turned. And apparently he did forget because he said he was done deal. So we'll see what happens with that. Flair brings up Hogan, says May 18th. That's his first match back. He wants Hall, Nash, and Hogan, and Master 6 to know that that's going to happen. And if they aren't too scared, come out and play. Flair then says before he retires, he wants to take Bischoff on with both arms and a leg tied behind his back. Yeah, I'm not sure how that'd work.
Did he ever get that match with Bischoff? I think he did. Because he's
I
going
don't
to become
remember.
commissioner soon. Or whatever he is.
Well, Public Enemy versus Mongo and Jarrett. And Mongo is significantly bigger than Public Enemy, so naturally he starts the match. Jarrett clotheslines Rocco Rock, and Mongo started to do football chops. Then Mongo and Jarrett do a strut, and the crowd lost it.
Mongo did not do a good strut. I should point that out.
No, it was not.
He needs to work on that.
Grunge Atomic drops Jarrett into Mongo, and that's when I kind of started losing my patience because it was like they're too stupid to wrestle Public Enemy.
And it should be noted this is a traditional tag team match, too. It's not a no-holds-barred match, so just keep that in mind.
It's not. So Deborah says, "Rock, oh, rock." And Rocco says, "Oh, you bitch." Deborah tried to get involved by giving Johnny Grunge little girl slaps. She's not Sherry.
Well, Sherry's crazy.
Then they fight on the floor. Ultimately sets up a stupid table spot for Public Enemy. Because that's all they can do. Johnny Grunge teased putting Deborah through a table because she was slapping him. And Deborah hit him with a chair. Jarrett moved and Grunge went through the table. So the table spot. And Deborah trips Rocco, brings out the Halliburton attaché case. Rocco ultimately gets the briefcase because she can't fucking guard shit for anything. Jarrett gets Grunge in the fatal floor. Mongo's celebrating. Ref is trying to get him out of the ring. Deborah's losing her mind because the other, I think Rocco Rock, is climbing the ropes. Then he hits Jarrett with the attaché case. And Public Enemy won.
Still protected that Public Enemy.
And they waved their flabby arms back and forth like they just didn't care. I don't get it. And this is why the Four Horsemen was a joke to me too. Because all they do is fucking lose.
Well, again, they got cheated this time in a traditional tag team match. It broke down into just a street fight because it's Public Enemy. They can't be beholden to rules, and they got to do their table spot at some point.
Okay, that's all they can do.
That is all they can do.
So Mean Gene interviews Harlem Heat and Sister Sherry. And first, Gene tells us that WCW Hotline is the only place we can learn about the new mysterious clique again. Gene brings in Harlem Heat and Sister Sherry. Both are wearing their Harlem Heat gear, but they're wearing different colors. And this time, not exactly standing together as a unit. Gene says Luger and Giant and these two men will face in a fatal four-way. And that'll be one fall match. What's more, Booker T and Stevie Ray may very well find themselves standing across from each other. Sister Sherry says that they have mapped out everything to the finest minute point. And it doesn't matter if Booker and Stevie are in the ring together, they have a plan. Divide and conquer. And then Booker says, Gene, you're out there talking about the clique. The only clique that matters is Harlem Heat and Sister Sherry. This is the Brotherhood, and we take what we want. Booker says that they defeat Luger and Giant. They want Hollywood Hogan. And then Booker says, Hogan, I'm coming for you. Now, how do you want to address this?
Well, on my stream, it said sucker.
Oh, it didn't on my stream.
It didn't? You didn't watch it on Peacock?
Oh. No, God, no. I said, nah. They censor shit.
Oh, you watched it on Ting Ting?
Tinghua, yeah.
Well, that's
all right. So he said sucker. And that was very, very shocking. And that's worth a bajillion memes created. Yeah. So Booker cringed immediately. Sherry looked like she was about to burst. Stevie and Gene had the best reactions because they didn't react at all. It was great.
Yeah, Gene didn't break at all.
No, he just went right to it. That's called professionalism.
What was he thinking, though?
I don't think he was.
Just went straight back to Harlem. I was just thinking, you're cutting a wrestling promo. Is there any promotion where that's flying?
ECW.
Probably.
I could see WWF doing that. because they did the thing where they said the Heart Foundation painted over the Nation of Domination's locker room or some shit.
Yeah, they could probably do it.
Well, Chris Benoit versus Dean Malenko faced each other for the U.S. title. And I liked how Benoit and Woman were color coordinated with the red, black, and the sparkly shit. And I guess Malenko helped Benoit once, so now they're wrestling out of respect. And they both established that they were very evenly matched early on. Then Malenko gets Benoit in the leg lock, and you'd think he was sawing his whole leg off. Then they both spend pretty much the whole match proving which one's better than the other, though no one really came off the better. Benoit made Dean look even better than he normally does, and Benoit chopped the shit out of Dean. Shivani goes on a diatribe about how the knife edge chop will do nothing more than wake up your opponent. And Dusty said, yeah, that's true, but it still hurts. Jimmy Hart actually ends up coming out after a whole bunch of back and forth. Actually, no, Jacqueline comes out first. She attacks Woman for a long time. Then Jimmy Hart comes out. He runs around the ring. He ends up stealing the U.S. title for no reason. Then Guerrero comes out. And I don't know what they did. I don't know if they just jaw-jacked or not, but fuck, who came out?
Sullivan.
Yeah, Sullivan came out. No, Arn Anderson came out
he was
first. And he attacked Malenko, throws him into the ring. And then Sullivan comes out and he looks at Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson just like, oh, okay. And then he clocks the shit out of Benoit with a stick. And finally, the referee's like, nah, we can't do this anymore.
Well, it was right in front of the ref.
I think the ref's back was still turned.
Not for the hit. Saw that.
Not for the hit. Okay.
The hit with the stick from Sullivan. He saw that.
Well, after the match, Woman, who for some reason is still standing after getting her ass whooped by Jacqueline, is trying to revive Chris. Malenko gently takes her by the arm, stands her to the side. Then he revives Chris. Chris doesn't know where he is when he wakes up. Malenko tells Benoit he was not supposed to be here. And then Benoit says, no, he wasn't. And then Benoit and Woman just look on pensively as Malenko walks away.
Quite the weird scenario. And I didn't know what the hell was going on. Commentary did their best. They explained the Sullivan part. They explained the Jackie part. Guerrero, they didn't really explain his involvement in all this, except the fact that he wants the title. And I believe this is the U.S. title, if I'm not mistaken. But I was just thinking, like, and these, when they go to WWE, these are the radicals. And three of the three of them are essentially feuding for the United States title. Like, I don't know. That's a pretty stacked little feud thing. And Sullivan's there, so his focus is mainly just Chris Benoit.
Well, we have Kevin Nash versus Rick Steiner for the tag team titles. And Nick Patrick is indeed the referee. Comes out with a sleeveless shirt, taped fists, kind of looks like a 50s greaser. And then Nash comes out. He's wearing the toothpicks like Hall. And then Rick Steiner comes out. As far as the match goes, it was fine. One guy would get the advantage. The other guy would cut him off, vice versa. We get to a point where Nash signals, I think he signaled to Six, who tries cutting off the turnbuckle. And it takes him forever. It takes him an ungodly amount of time to expose the turnbuckle. But he finally does. And Nash drops Rick Steiner on it. And he's not satisfied with that at all. So he does it a third time, then a fourth time, then a fifth time. And eventually...
And then, at this point, DiBiase, he's in the ring. He's like, it's enough. Why? Like, he's beat. Why are you doing this to Kevin Nash? Six is enjoying this all, and he keeps saying, do it again, do it again. Nick Patrick is also his biased referee, but he doesn't want this to keep going. Kevin Nash, tells Nick Patrick he'll do it however many times he wants to do it. And DiBiase is so distraught at all this. I guess we're beyond, a competitive wrestling match. So at this point, DiBiase just walks out.
Disgusted.
Yeah. In disgust.
Just shaking his head.
Kevin Nash, he picks up Rick Steiner. He does the jackknife powerbomb. He goes for the pin. Nick Patrick hesitates for some reason to count him out, and Kevin Nash retains the tag team titles in the singles match. Now, I say he hesitated for some reason, which didn't make sense to me, because if you count him out, the match is over. Like, it stopped at this point. But yeah, he doesn't want to count him out.
Was concerned for Ric's safety.
I know.
And well-being.
But if you count him out, then it's over. That would stop it.
Yeah, but it's a little silly to pin a guy when he's just been humiliated.
I guess so. Oh, to point out, Nick Patrick, he does the count at 1 and he stops. Nash grabs him to make him do the 2-3.
While Six says, count, damn it!
So the dissension is in full effect here. We got
Yes, it is.
Six and Nash, who were, I guess, ruthless. And then you got the compassionate side of Patrick and DiBiase. But from what I remember, and I said it before, it's like we're teasing towards the Wolfpack being created. But if I remember correctly, the Wolfpack was the babyface side of it.
It was.
So I guess they're going to flip that around at some point, because that was clearly Nash being the heel part of it, and Patrick and DiBiase were being the faces. But they're not Wolfpack, they're black and white. So it's going to turn at some point, I guess. Maybe it's just because the Wolfpack is so much cooler. Don't turn your back on the back.
It was until Hogan joined. And then it was killed everything.
And yeah, and he was the reason they defected.
The whole fucking thing. Yeah, I know. And then he joined. So it's like,
follow the money.
Yeah. So Mean Gene's backstage. He's with Luger and Giant. And I guess Luger and Giant are friends, facing each other too, just like Harlem Heat. Giant actually tells Gene that Hogan's plan is to turn friends against friends and brothers against brothers. But Hogan never anticipated that the friends would actually be friends. See, they train together and they sleep together and they eat together and shit. So they're friends. And Giant says that when you're that much of a team, he knows that tonight, if he wrestles Luger and Luger comes up victorious, then he deserves to be the one that faces Hogan. But if I beat Lex Luger, then I deserve a title shot. That's what he says. And if Harlem Heat, if either of them beat us, then they deserve a title shot as well.
Yeah.
Such a babyface promo from the Giant. Giant says that they're giving it their all and he won't mind tearing Harlem Heat their heads off. Luger says that everyone's tired of watching the NWO run wild. Now it's time for WCW to take back what's theirs. Luger and Giant are seeking to accomplish one goal. And he knows where Harlem Heat stands after they attacked him earlier. I don't know. And I did notice that Luger had a dead stare.
Yeah, to the whole thing.
It was very intimidating. He didn't say shit, but that stare. We got Harlem Heat versus Luger and the Giant. And it's a 4 corners match. And everyone comes out as a team. And they assure us it's not a tag match at all. And so 2 men enter, 2 men get on the corner, preparing for a tag. Luger tags in, and Stevie goes over to the corner where Booker is, so he can game plan with Sherry. Giant ends up kicking the asses of both Harlem Heat, and then they go outside and start yelling at each other. Sherry starts yelling at them to focus, and, so much for that finest minute point. And Luger turns his back to the crowd, starts to fire them up. And Stevie Ray tags in Luger so he can face the Giant himself. So then they do like this little test of strength thing. Then they tag in both Harlem Heat guys. So our Harlem Heat guys, they do this little exchange and then they start running the ropes. And then they do this little hand signal thing. And it's like, oh, they fooled us. Then it turns back into a totally non-tag match. At one point, Shivani says, right now Harlem Heat is dominating.
They're winning this tag match. I mean, this 4 corners match.
Right. And so they have a tag match. It gets to the point where Giant doesn't even go into his own corner anymore. He just goes into Lex's corner. And I laughed at the face Booker made when he did his scissor kick. He's like, ah!
I've noticed that he probably started on TV, but he's getting more animated now. Like before he locked up with his brother, he was doing all this.
Giant kicked the fuck out of Booker to get him out of the ring. Then he signals for the choke slam, and so does Luger. And Stevie Ray gets to his feet, but Giant just keeps his hand up. And then he walks over to Luger and he says, "Tag me. Do it." So Luger tags him. Giant does the most overdramatic torture rack signal I've ever seen.
He's got to fire the crowd up.
Luger gets him in the torture rack, and it must have been a record for as long as he lasted. Because last pay-per-view, they were just tapping out as soon as he picked him up.
Yeah, Stevie Ray lasted probably a good 5-10 seconds.
It's 5 seconds. Yeah. So they did a Slamboree advertisement, and we got Randy Savage versus Diamond Dallas Page. It's a no disqualification match. And Savage walks out of the dressing room talking about how he's going to fuck DDP up. Savage says he's throwing a party. He's going to have 15 to 20 women over there. And he wants to know if Miss Elizabeth is okay with that. She says, yeah. He's like, yeah. Like, hell yeah. Slim Jims for everybody. Savage then has trouble finding his way to the ring. And Savage comes out, but not before flexing in front of like 2 Asian girls that were standing there for some reason. Then Mean Gene interviews DDP. Page says that Savage stepped over the line. Now Savage belongs to Page. And then Kimberly said some shit about how she normally wants to stay positive, but now she's just going to let it ride. The anger that Page has.
Yeah,
just let it
that's
ride.
his secret weapon, the anger.
Well, Page comes out to the ring and he bangs Miss Elizabeth immediately. Michael Buffer did the introductions and he said, from the celebrity pages of Playboy, she's escorting her husband. She is Kimberly. Which I thought that was funny.
And Macho Man didn't get any introduction.
He did not. No.
So, yeah, it was weird. Oh, and before when DDP got out there, because he's in character and this is supposed to be a blood feud, he goes right after Macho Man. And Michael Buffer, he's still doing his introduction. So he gets out of the ring, but still finishes his introduction. Like he was standing on the apron. I don't know. I thought that was funny. He's like, oh no, they pay me to finish this. I'm finishing it.
Well, the bell rang and Savage grabbed the mic from Michael Buffer and said, this is your big day. This is your last day on the planet Earth. Oh, yeah. And it starts off hot. Page gets the advantage and goes for the diamond cutter immediately. Savage grabbed the ropes to block it. Then they fight outside the ring and the crowd. Savage ends up getting nailed with a trash can because that's what they do. Then fight back to the ringside and Savage grabs Kimberly. Elizabeth rakes DDP's back while he was distracted. Savage drops DDP on the guardrail and there's a hillbilly that kind of looks at DDP straight in the eye, leans into him slightly, and he says, come on, baby. Come on. Snap into that ass. He's after Kimberly, man. Good on the fans.
Speaking of fans, there was that one fan who got, I don't know if it was a fan or it was like a press person or like a security person, but someone got hit off of the ricochet of the trash can because, DDP hits Macho Man with the trash can and then he let it hit the ground. Well, it ricocheted and hit someone in the knee. And then you can see that person like grab their knee and they're limping. That was funny. It was like, well, hope you have insurance. And then there was another fan who got like kicked when they were going over the guardrail. It was like a kid, but when they're going over the guardrail, one of their feet kicked him in the head, and then he was like selling it. I was like, wow, that kid really sold that.
Savage steals Buffer's chair later. Seems like Savage had it out for him tonight because he slapped him and just, totally emasculated him. Savage took David Penzer's chair too, and he slapped him as well. Page did a move where he tossed the chair in Savage and then shoved it in his face, which is clever. And Savage beats up David Penzer again, grabs the ring bell, and goes for a top rope move, kind of like he did with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And Savage audibles into an elbow drop, but Page gets to his feet. Page signals for a diamond cutter again, but Savage counters with a backslide and a dick kick. And Savage goes for a cover. He gets a 2 count, and then he stashes Mark Curtis, turns to Miss Elizabeth. She must not have given him a good sign because Mark Curtis got pile drived.
That being
he's
the
out.
referee. Taking a straight pile driver.
Then Savage hit his elbow drops and makes the cover like an idiot. And then he looks confused because there's no referee. And he's the reason why there's no referee.
Did you forget you just pile drived him and whipped him?
Savage asks Nick Patrick to come out. So does Nash. Page counters a scoop slam on Savage and he hit the diamond cutter. Page makes the cover. Patrick hesitates for a minute, then counts the pin. Then Nash hits the ring, snatches Patrick, kneels to check on Savage. Patrick's still in his grasp. Bischoff, Master Six, Ted DiBiase, and the lesser NWO guys come out. Bischoff is pointing at somebody. He's very unhappy. Nash revives Savage, and then he jackknifes the shit out of Nick Patrick. Like he picked him up and just released him. And Savage picks Page out of the ring, then grabs Kimberly. Bischoff starts pleading with Savage. Savage cocks back like he's going to slap Kimberly, but Bischoff grabs his arm. The crowd are chanting that they want Sting.
I was a little confused. Was that the decoy Sting or the fake one? Because there was a Sting out there.
Yeah,
okay.
That was fake Sting.
I'm like, why are they chanting for Sting? And he's right there.
Okay. Yeah, that was the fake Sting. So Savage shoves Bischoff down. Bischoff, the TV executive, gets up, pushes Savage, the wrestler, and then Savage, he slapped the shit out of Eric Bischoff. And everybody starts holding him back. And yeah, Randy was on some slaps giving shit through the whole pay-per-view.
Not only that, he was taking out the little guys, the timekeeper, the referee. Mm-hmm. Like everybody was getting it. I wonder what he's going to do to Kimberly. Was he going to pile drive her?
He's going to ram her.
Yeah, after the pile driver. He's going to knock her out with a pile driver and then have his way. And ask Elizabeth, are you okay with that? Oh, yeah.
Although she was the girl that fucked the booty man. So I don't know much sympathy she deserves.
That's true.
But then they cut to the commentary booth to close the show. And they leave us gloating over the cracks in the NWO.
Yep. The Wolf Pack is a foreman. Oh, no, I think it was a pretty good pay-per-view.
I thought so.
Yeah, it had some quirks, like the Four Corners match that ended up just being a tag team match.
I felt like the whole thing was a tag team match.
Well, yeah, that's true. But there was one point where Shivani was like, if you can see Harlem Heat, one's wearing white, one's wearing gold to signify that they're not on a tag team tonight. But yeah, pretty much turned straight into a tag team match. But if you can look past that, then
yeah,
it was a good match between them. Rey Mysterio, Ultimo Dragon. Again, I got taken out of it because of the backstage stuff. But it was good there too. So yeah, I guess overall there was just a lot of extra going on. And they forgot the rules. But that seems to be just a WCW thing. They make it so convoluted that they can't keep the stipulation. Or just a straight tag match that turns into a hardcore match for some reason. And Split Screen made it back into a tag team match. So you know it was all over the place.
Yeah. Split Screen. Ugh.
I know, right?
Worst idea ever. But that was Spring Stampede.
Pretty good. Next up we have Slamboree.
Yeah, it was Slamboree.
And WrestleMania 21?
18.
18. Okay. You know, I was thinking WrestleMania 2000. Was that not supposed to be WrestleMania 20?
No, that was supposed to be WrestleMania whatever 2000.
Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking as I was titling it. Like that, shouldn't that be WrestleMania 20?
Well, next year is 18. So yeah, it would have been WrestleMania 17 or 16.
I think I actually titled it wrong then. No, I did 2000.
Yeah, that's right. And then they do the X7 and X8. And then I don't know if they do X9 or not. Probably not.
Something to look forward to. We got Hulk Hogan versus Dwayne The Rock Johnson in the Icon versus Icon match.
We also have Kurt Angle versus Kane, Undertaker versus Flair in a no DQ match, and then Stone Cold versus Scott Hall.
There we go. That's going to do it for the retro review. Next week, tune in and we will get to WrestleMania 18. But if you agree with anything, let us know in the comments. If you disagree with anything, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. But until next time, Top Guys out.